Solving first-degree equations in one unknown. Welcome to the wonderful world of equations. There are so many x's and y's to figure out. Let's get started. We've looked at what a substitution set is, and we know what a solution set is too. The solution set is always a subset of the substitution set, but substitution sets are not always given. So, let's look at some other clever ways to help us solve equations without using a substitution set. Let's see what the spice merchant's young assistant Sobki is doing. To keep his scales balanced, whatever he adds to the right side, he adds to the left as well. This is called the addition property of equality. Whatever you add to one side of the equation, you need to add to the other side to maintain its balance. This is Ali. We don't know his age, but here's what we do know. We know that his age minus his younger brother's age, who is 2, equals 5. Now, how can we express this as an equation? Our unknown is Ali's age. Let's call it x. So our equation is x minus 2 equals 5. To solve this equation, you need to isolate the variable, which is x. How do we do that? On the left side of the equation, 2 is being subtracted from the variable. What if we added 2 to both sides? Remember, in an equation, both sides of the equal sign must always be equal. So try adding 2 to both sides of the equation. Adding 2 cancels out subtracting 2, which isolates x. On the other side, 5 plus 2 makes 7. Therefore, Ali is 7 years old. Let's go back to Sobki, the spice seller's assistant. He wants to remove some of the meat. To maintain the balance of the scale, whatever he removes from the right side, he removes from the left side as well. This is called the subtraction property of equality. Mrs. Rawia has 14 students in her class. We know there are 8 girls. How many boys are there in class? Let's express this as a first-degree equation in one unknown. So, our unknown is the number of boys. Let's call it x. So, x plus 8 equals 14. That's our equation in the first degree with one variable, x. Let's use the properties we just learned to solve the problem. Let's first isolate our unknown x. In this case, we need to subtract 8 from both sides of the equation. X equals 6. That means there are 6 boys in Mrs. Rawia's class. Suppose that 2 of those boys, Adnan and Baz, are the same height. Adnan stands on a box that is 15 centimeters high. If Baz stands on another 15 centimeter box, he and Adnan would still measure the same height because of the addition property of equality. Now, what if each step inside a hole that's 20 centimeters deep? They would still measure the same because of the subtraction property of equality. Another important property that can be used to solve equations is the multiplication and division property of equality. Now, imagine a bag with an unknown weight, A, and another bag that is weight, B. If measured on the scales, they seem to be equal. Now, if I put 2 bags of unknown weight A and 2 of B, would they still be equal? Sure. This is called the multiplication property of equality. Alaa enjoys sewing. She has 2 pieces of cloth, one red, R, another green, G. They are both the same length. What do we do? She cuts the red one, R, into 4 equal parts. Then she cuts the green one, G, into 4 equal parts. Will the short red cloth equal the green? Yes. This is called the division property of equality. These are the 4 properties of equalities: subtraction, addition, multiplication, and division. Let's look at a few examples. Say we want want to find out the unknown x. 4 equal bags of x equal 24. To find out our unknown x, we need to isolate it. To do so, we need to remove the number 4. This can be done by dividing both sides of equations by 4. So, x is 24 divided by 4, which equals 6. Now we know that each of those bags weighs 6 kilograms. Sometimes you need to use more than one property to solve an equation. Imagine there's a school trip. We know that there are 8 students from Mrs. Marwa's class and students from 2 other classes. These 2 classes have an equal number of students. We also know that the total number of students on the trip is 30. How do we calculate the number of students of the 2 other classes? Let's express this in an equation. 2x plus 8 equals 30. What do we do? Subtract 8 on both sides to isolate the 2x. That gives us 2x equals 22. Now we have to isolate 1x. So we need to divide by 2 on both sides. X equals 11. Let's recap. When we have an unknown in any equation, we can determine its value by knowing the different properties of an equality. Always remember to keep your equation balanced at all times. And don't tip the scales.